Hey everybody, welcome to the Age of Reason podcast with Mike and Alex, where we are not for the faint of thought. So what's up, man? We're kind of a day late due to some scheduling issues, and I was kind of worried because yesterday when we had the script, or the day before when we had the script finalized, I was like, hey, we don't have a whole lot here to talk about. It was quite a few, like not too many items on our agenda, and then everything just kind of blew up a bit.
Yeah, things got a little crazy. It seems like it always kind of happens that way. Obviously we got past Zombie Jesus Day, so
Brains.
that was good. Um, I got an extra day off on Friday for Good Friday for some reason in my work, but I'll take it, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
we need to coin a new, like, because I do think there should be a holiday right there, because like for you and I, like growing up, right, we always barbecued on Easter, so and it was kind of ushering in like spring. It was like summer's coming up. When we were kids, it was like not too, we get a 2 week vacation, go back to school for like 2 months, and then we're out for the summer. Like we need an atheist holiday for that weekend to kind of celebrate
let's
spring.
let's go for like Day of Knowledge or something. We need something like that. It's gonna be our new
That
Easter
makes it
holiday,
sound
Day of
that
Knowledge.
makes it sound too pretentious. Just I'm just saying good weather week, good weather day or something. I don't
All
know.
right,
We'll have to come up with
we'll
something.
dumb it down for the population. Okay.
Goddamn atheists and their fucking knowledge. But hey, speaking of atheists, let's go to Sunday school, ladies and gentlemen. Bow your heads. Let us think.
All right, so today we got a fun one today. It's the strong man Samson from the Bible. So this one, I knew the story, but as I was doing a little bit of research for this, I came across a couple interesting pieces that I guess somehow I didn't know. So first of all, he's from the Book of Judges, which is also where Antonin Scalia was from. So interesting. Um,
Wait, what?
so no, the biblical Book of
Oh,
Judges. That's
oh, oh, okay. No, I got that part. I was like Scalia. What? All right. Yeah,
uh,
never mind.
okay. So before he was born, like in typical biblical fashion, his mother was visited by an angel, who told her that her son would help lead her people from slavery from the Philistines, um, and that he would be a Nazarite, which it's somebody dedicated to God. I guess they typically don't drink and typically grew their hair long. So maybe he wasn't the only strong man, but
That
he's the
sounds
one
like a
from
fruit,
a Nazarite.
like
I could,
Nazarite pie. Yeah.
so basically, so he grows up as a strong man, never cuts his hair, and he ended up falling in love with a Philistine woman. Of course, somehow we're always attracted to the enemy, but so one day he went to visit her. A hungry lion, of course, they stress hungry, came out and he killed it with his bare hands. Of course, he's a strong man.
That wasn't
Uh,
Jimmy, was it? Remember Jimmy the lion?
oh, maybe.
Back in the day, from the lion that mauled the buttocks of a man who decided to test his faith with a with a group of lions. Anyway,
Oh, so yeah. So he didn't tell anybody about the slaying of the lion. Um, and then a time later, doesn't say how much time, but he goes back to visit her again for his wedding. And on his way back, he sees that a swarm of bees have taken over the lion, basically the dead lion. So he goes to the bees, goes to the lion, takes honey from the bees. I guess the theory there is most men would be afraid of bees. So this man walked up and took the honey. Um,
this is bitch
so
slapping bees.
it's his wedding, and I guess apparently this is a week long event. He made a bet with some Philistines who are still kind of the enemy of his people, the Israelites, that they couldn't solve his riddle, and the loser would have to pay 30 articles of clothing to the winner. And the riddle, translated, comes out to this: it's out of the eater come forth meat, and out of the strong come forth sweetness. Um, I never would have got what the fuck that meant.
It's
Um,
cute.
but so that's his riddle, and he gave it to the Philistine men, um, and somehow they got to his Samson's wife, and they harassed her and threatened to kill her if she didn't get the answer. So this poor guy, Samson, he tells his wife the riddle. And then when the day comes, obviously they know the answer. So this is a quote that he told them, and it made this whole story, in my opinion, worth it. Um, if you had not plowed with my heifer,
Okay.
you had not found out my riddle. So I mean, obviously
Wait, was he
he's
talking
referring.
about his wife?
Yes.
Oh my God, no way. I read this story, the story of Samson, about 5 years ago, so fairly recently. I must have totally missed that.
Yeah, and one of
That's
the
awesome.
sites I was reading, they made a point to call out like, oh, obviously he was referring to his wife there, and it's like, oh wow.
She a big bitch. What?
So yeah,
Oh wow.
so so that happened, and this is the Bible, of course, so we need some death here. Uh, to repay his debt, he killed the first 30 Philistines he saw, took their clothes, and gave them to the tricksters that found out his riddle. So obviously he was pissed off. He killed those guys. I guess he basically ran home, all pissed off, and he left his wife there. And I guess apparently, as per olden day customs, if you leave your wife on her wedding, um, the father gave her to somebody else. So he came back, and his wife was gone. She was married to somebody else. But the father did offer her younger sister. Um, so that was interesting. He declined, and he got again pissed off. So he caught all the wild foxes in the area. Apparently, it was like 300, and tied them together by their tails, and put wood in between their tails and set it on fire, and ran them through the crops of the Philistines. So this obviously set the fields on fire, destroyed their crops.
That is creative. I
Yeah,
and must have
I
taken a
mean,
lot of work.
catching 300 foxes is probably.
And then getting them to hold still while you tie them together.
So yes, so he went away in hiding again. Blah blah blah. The Philistines were looking for him, and his people came up to him and said, "Hey, they're gonna kill us if you don't turn yourself in." So he said, "Okay, go ahead and bind me with rope and take me to the Philistines." Um, and this is where it gets exciting again. So almost like a Trojan horse kind of thing. He busts out of the ropes. Um, there's 1,000 Philistines there, army of 1,000 men. And do you know what he killed them with? Do you remember from 5 years ago?
If it's like Jesus, it's with death.
Killed them with death. No, that would have been good. But he used the jawbone of an ass.
I knew there was going to be a rim job in this story somewhere. Uh,
So
I just imagined him like holding that in the air, and just like the Hulk.
yeah, so with the jawbone of an ass, he killed 1,000 men. He sang a little song. I didn't memorize it because I don't want to do that to our listeners. But he sang a little songs, apparently about killing men with the bone of an ass.
Like as he's doing it.
I think it was after. It was like a victory song.
Oh, I was just imagining like swinging it and just I. I've got a jawbone, just fucking. Ah, like yelling in tune, I guess.
Oh man. Okay, so this poor guy. If only Tinder was around back then, he might have done better. But he he
He picked the
he,
wrong
he
heifer, didn't he?
he so after the first heifer, he falls in love with another Philistine, and she was corrupted, I guess, by the government, who told her, "Hey, if you find his secret, um, we'll give you a large sum of money." So uh, she continued to ask for his secret. From the story that I read, three separate times he gives her a false secret, and every single time he wakes up in the morning to see that she tried that secret.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Like he said it was his fingernails or some shit. It was something random like that. And yet, throughout all this, it aroused no suspicion out of him. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
another one was that new it would take new ropes that had never been used before
Right. Yeah.
to bind him. So then he wakes up the next morning and somehow he's tied in brand new ropes. he like you would think you would get the fucking hint, but eventually he told her that his hair is the secret to his power. And what do you know? He wakes up with no fucking hair. So
Fucking Delilah. God damn it.
oh man, so he was sent to a prison camp basically, where he slaved away turning a mill or something. But he was in prison so long that they let his hair regrow somehow. Yeah, and apparently it ended in a giant suicide bombing. So basically, they took him up to the front of a building to show off the mighty prison Samson, and he reached a pillar and used all his strength to knock the pillar over and killed 3,000 men and women. So
What are we supposed to
I'm not.
learn from this story?
The moral of the story is do
Don't
not.
trust heifers.
Yeah, that works.
Or don't plow heifers, I guess.
Don't plow them.
Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes Skeptic Sunday School. Let's just go right into the news. We have quite a bit to cover, so go ahead. Let's get started.
All right, so first one today is our good friend, my namesake, Alex Jones over here. So he's in a custody battle, and honestly, I mean, this is not something that typically we would talk about. Custody battles, all that stuff. It's kind of sensitive, maybe, but
I think this fact that he had his own lizard child is something to be concerned about.
but this is definitely something worth mentioning. So the mother of his children is claiming that because of his outbursts, conspiracy theories, propensity to get naked, and straight bullshit.
He gets real quick, just for anybody that doesn't know, just go onto YouTube and type in Alex Jones. He's the founder and one of the anchormen for InfoWars, which is you watch the videos, you know why I said lizard child. Anyway, all right.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you need some entertainment, just watch a small clip from this guy.
God, he gets so angry.
it's funny, but yeah. So apparently, I didn't know this. He records from home. I guess who else would let them use their studio? I guess. So he records from home, and like I said, the mother of the children is saying that he's unfit because of that this is him. The person you're seeing on YouTube is him, and who the hell would trust that guy with a child, right? So his counsel is coming back and arguing that he's merely an actor, and that his InfoWars show is a persona. And they even had this quote. I like this one. So judging him would be like judging Jack Nicholson in a custody dispute based on his performance as the Joker in Batman.
Really? So he actually doesn't believe in lizard people?
So that is what his lawyers are saying. But he already came out and said, no, this is not true. What I'm telling you, what I say, I mean 100%. Man, I saved the quotes. I don't have them right here, but he basically said that he doubled down. He said, "No, it's all me. Um,
What?
we're winning. I think it was the liberal elites are feeling the heat, so that's why they're putting this pressure on me." Um, oh, here it goes. Here we go. Sorry. So they've got articles out today that say I'm a fake. All this other crap. Total bull. Uh, And then he says, the media is deceiving everywhere. I 110% believe what I stand for. We're changing the world with you.
All right.
The
So
globalists.
to put that in perspective, it would be the media is deceiving everywhere, and they don't know what they're trying to say about me. Everything I say is true. Like, that's what this guy sounds like.
Yeah, that's him on a good day.
That's what that's his birthday. That's when he's happy.
Before the coffee. But so he ends it with this part. It's the globalists. That's his thing. Everyone else is a globalist. Are panicking and trying to shut us down, calling us fake news, just like communist China does, because we're kicking their ass.
Oh, fuck that guy. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I encourage everybody to go on YouTube and at least watch 5 minutes of this guy. He is batshit fucking bonkers and endorsed by our president, by the way. But
oh yeah, endorsed, backed. Oh yeah, all that good stuff. So let's see. Next we have a gentleman from Oklahoma.
Oh yeah.
Name he's Representative Mark Wayne Mullen.
Mark Twain.
No, not Mark Twain. I never heard. It's Mark Wayne. All is one name. Never heard that before, but yeah. So that's him. So we've been talking about town halls lately, and this guy was in a town hall, and one of the constituents had talked about how they pay for him to be there, and he's basically there to serve them. And he says, bull crap. He says, I pay my own way. I paid enough taxes before I got here and continue to through my company to pay my own salary. This is a service. No one here pays me to go. And the crowd was like, well, go where? What the hell are you talking about? He says, this is a service, not a career. And I thank God this isn't how I make my living. So, I mean, it's not hard to research, but I looked into it a little bit. Do you know how he makes a living?
Does that have anything to do with having gay sex with a minor in a Super 8 motel across the street from a church?
Not yet.
That was the other Republican Oklahoma guy. I get him mixed up. I apologize.
That's his buddy. No, so this one inherited a plumbing business from daddy. So that's how he's rich. But I mean, let's kind of go back to the basic principle here. So, I mean, it's a plumbing company. I don't think it's, Roto-Rooter, like the world's biggest. So I doubt, it's a multi-million-dollar plumbing
It can't
company.
be. I don't even think they have plumbing throughout Oklahoma. Sorry, Oklahoma people. I apologize.
Oh, yeah. So that's a fair point, right? So, I mean, it's not like he's just racking in the dough. So I guess he assumes that the taxes he's paid goes specifically into a bank account for when you run for government. That way your salary is paid by yourself. But it's just, the thought process there to think that, oh, because I've paid taxes, that's the same as me paying for my own salary right now, which comes from tax money. It's pretty insane, to me.
Yeah, it's I don't know, Republican economics, I guess. I don't have anything to say about that. Apparently he does not know how the system works. I guess. I don't understand. Or he does, and he's justifying his bullshit with some BS principles, which is the Republican way. So who knows?
Yeah. So speaking of the Republican way, the quick announcement of another town hall. Um, Joe Wilson, representative of South Carolina, he got famous. I think in 2009 when he shouted "You lie" at Obama during.
Oh yes, that guy. Yeah.
So he had a town hall last week, and he had to wait for over 2 minutes while the crowd chanted "You lie." Um, at him. So
yeah.
yeah, we my local representative Jeff Denham just had his town hall. I think 2 days ago. It was very restrictive. You had to apply for it beforehand and prove that you were part of his constituency. So I have some friends that went there. I'll get some updates later, but for the most part, they were not very pleased either. Uh, so last thing I have here, it's just unfortunate thing that we bring up, and there's a lot of different things, fights we could be fighting for in the world, but I think this one, based on our where we come from as atheists, I think this one's just as important as any. And so what happened was a Pakistani mob killed it says boy, but really he was a student in a university. So his name was Muhammad Mosul Khan, and he was killed by a mob, shot, thrown off a second-story building, and then lynched. I'm pretty sure he was dead.
I was gonna say, what is this?
Before.
What is this guy, Rasputin? I'm not trying to make jokes, but I mean that's fucking overkill.
Yeah, no, exactly, and I think he was dead already. And it was just that. I mean, that just goes to show kind of the craziness over there. I think one of the police made a comment like animals don't behave like this. But so there's in Pakistan, blasphemy is against the law and it is punishable by death. It appears that this kid, we'll call him, never shared any blasphemous information. So just the thought or the threat of somebody sharing this on Facebook caused this mob to kill him. So like I said, it's something that we try to at least make known when it does happen. Unfortunately, it happens far too often in the Middle East and as well as some African countries. But one day that I always bring up is International Day of Blasphemy. No one should get killed over her feelings or ideas. And yeah, so that's a sad case. But
yeah, I got more on that later. Yeah, it sucks. But unfortunately, I have a story that's going to get a bit worse than that. It's hard to imagine, but all right. Anyway, whoa, hey, I just dropped something. No, it wasn't a giant dick. I don't have a giant dick this week, unfortunately. No,
it was funny because as you dropped it, I heard Lindsay say Jesus, so I thought
that's usually what she says. She's yeah. Anyway, all right, that totally threw me off. Let's try to do this again here. So, a few quick points, updates of some stuff news that I got over the last few days. I just want to get out of the way. So, everybody was kind of freaked out because Donald Trump said he was sending the U.S. Carl Vinson, which is an aircraft carrier carrying nuclear capabilities. He's sending that over to the Korean Peninsula. He said that a few days ago. And actually, it did not happen. The U.S. Carl Vinson was in the Indian Ocean when he made this comment. And this is what led North Korea to say that nuclear war can happen at any moment, and they would not hesitate to take action if they feel like they're provoked. So kind of in a way, it's good news, but Donald Trump doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, I guess. And that's the first time we've brought him up so far, I think.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's nice. So moving on, Jason Chaffetz announced on Facebook this week that he will, after consulting his family and, quote here, prayerful consideration, he will not be running for any public office in 2018. So, Alex, I think you and I need to thank God for this because apparently prayer worked in our favor this time. So, praise the spaghetti monster. Good riddance. Hopefully, we'll get somebody else in 2018 to go into the oversight committee. And I'm not too hopeful that we're gonna get that we're gonna change the shade of Utah. But yeah, whatever. I don't like Chaffetz, so good.
Let me guess. It's gonna be a white Mormon guy.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure it'll be a relative of Mitt Romney somehow, some way. So moving on here, we got some financial stats that I wanted to look up that came out this week as well. So the world's 8 richest people are now equal in wealth to the bottom 50% combined. That is worldwide. Another one, the top 1% own more wealth than the rest of the planet combined. From 1988 to 2011, the bottom 10% of the world grew in income by less than $3. The top 10% in the same time frame, though, grew 182 times more than that. So let me see here. 3 times 2 is 6. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about over $500. So next stat here, in the U.S., the bottom 50% has experienced 0% growth over the last 30 years, while the top 1% has experienced a 300% growth in the exact same time. And lastly, in the next 20 years, 500 people will give $2.1 trillion to their heirs, and that is more than the entire GDP of the country of India. I should have done this whole bit in a Bernie accent. Let's bring it back. It's bringing back memories.
It is, but it's sad that we equate that with Bernie Sanders because he's really that's really the only time that we hear these things.
Right.
But I mean, when you think about in 30 years, not a single dollar increase. Wow. It's amazing. And 8 people having as much money as half of the world. Was that right?
Yeah. Let me see here. Let me fact check that. But it did say the 8 richest people are now equal in wealth to the bottom 50% combined, and that's worldwide.
I mean, that's just insane.
That's beyond insane. It's huge.
Huge.
I miss that man. We'll be talking about him here in a minute, but let me see, to kind of piggyback on the Alex Jones thing from earlier. Oh man, this tingled me in the right places. Bill O'Reilly, after more than 50 sponsors dropped airtime for commercials during the O'Reilly Factor, Fox News has officially cut ties with him. Bill O'Reilly is officially off the motherfucking air.
Unemployed.
I'm sure he'll get a radio show with fucking Limbaugh or some shit, but he's done.
Don Imus.
What?
Remember Don Imus, the nasty-headed hose guy?
Yeah. I'm sure Bill will fit right in. So Fox News was quoted as saying, after a thorough and careful review of the allegations, Bill O'Reilly will not be returning. It's Bill O'Reilly in a statement, as he was during the same time he was shaking hands with the Pope last weekend. Bill O'Reilly put out a statement that said it is tremendously disheartening to leave over completely unfounded claims. He further went on to say, "This is the yeah, I know.
that we settled for multiple times."
I'm getting to that. He further went on to say that this is the unfortunate, and I hate this. This is the unfortunate reality many of us in the public eye must live with today. I mean, he's right. I mean, Jon Stewart was settling out of court all the time for grabbing pussy.
It's yeah. I mean, the thought process of somebody like this guy who's supposed to be a big tough guy,
yeah,
right? To basically turn around and cry and say, "Oh, it's not my fault. I was famous. I'm just getting dragged through the mud."
Mm-hmm.
Shut the fuck up, man.
Yeah,
Get out of here.
Whiny ass. Yeah, and I hope everybody noted my sarcasm with Stewart. Even if it was true, I'd never admit to it. Again, this decision from Fox News comes after they learned that about $15 million has been paid out to 5 women for Bill's behavior, and the factor will be replaced with Tucker Carlson.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well,
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm hoping Sean Hannity's next though. Hashtag hand in the pussy.
Oh man, I don't even know what to say. Tucker Carlson, how are these guys still here?
It looks like they're leaving. So first Roger, now Bill, and this is the thing to know about Bill. I mean, Bill O'Reilly for years has been the top paid, most watched cable news host in history.
Yeah, he's number
I mean,
one.
this is a big, not anymore. I mean, this is a big fucking deal.
Well, he's still probably going to be watched more than Tucker Carlson. I can probably assure that.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that I'm hoping for is I'm sure there are a fraction of people that watch Fox News for just Bill O'Reilly. I'm hoping this screws with their viewership. I'm hoping those people go somewhere else.
They're not going to die yet. They're still going to be there.
God damn it! Hurry up and die, Grandma. I'm getting anxious here. Yeah, I am overly ecstatic about that. Moving on, I said we're going to talk about Bernie. So Bernie Sanders and Tom Perez, our new DNC committee chairman, are on an 8-state tour right now. They're calling the tour the Come Together Fight Back tour, and it's meant to organize the progressives from Bernie's campaign and catch the rising number, as we were talking about with Fox News just now being a possibility, catch the rising number of those who have buyer's remorse for their Donald Trump votes. This is going to be challenging in a way, though, because one electorate named David Bright from Maine attended this kickoff in Portland, Maine. And Bright stated that the DNC continues to disappoint, and Perez would have been, quote, torn apart by progressives if Bernie hadn't announced his attendance on the tour. Bright was a Bernie delegate and voter during the primaries, and was later forced to vote for Donald Trump due to Maine state laws during the general election. He refused to vote for Hillary Clinton. But I don't know if this is the right thing. I mean, you know, the shakeup that we talked about last week that Perez did seems to kind of be normal when a new DNC chair takes over.
Well, so first of all, I've seen 2, possibly 3 different surveys that have came out, and these are not online surveys, good surveys that have said that Bernie Sanders right now is the most popular politician in the country. Surprise, I know, but
that just makes me so fucking angry.
Yeah, I know, but so I think, I mean, what Perez is doing here is basically, I mean, it's the thing that you would want to do, right? At least if you don't make the phone call and say, hey, would you please come to my birthday party? You know, so I think it's him doing the right thing, and just trying to get people excited that Bernie's there. What comes from it is a whole nother story. But I think, you know, watching the town halls that Bernie's done so far, he really, his message, if listened to, and I think part of the problem that we had previous to the election is a lot of these people, they just didn't listen to him. But when you actually listen and you actually get the details of what he's saying, and you see that it actually is for the working class,
right?
More people are saying, hey, you know what? I kind of like this guy. And
the rest of us quickly jump in and say, too fucking late, you dipshits. Where the fuck were you in July? You know, I mean, I have a little bit of faith in Tom Perez. I mean, he was Obama's labor secretary. He did a decent job when he was there. You know, he's not Robert Reich, but, you know, he did a decent job under Obama. I have way more, I'm more open to having him run this ship than Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That fucking, anyway.
Or Donna Brazile.
Yeah. So, I'm giving him a chance. Especially since him and Ellison, who you and I wanted, are supposed to be partnering on this. Now he's partnering with Bernie. let's see what happens. Anyway, we got to get into our discussion topics here. So first up, UC Berkeley. Yet again, violence breaks out at UC Berkeley. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you will if you look hard enough. You will find the woman known as Luis Rosalma from Ventura, California, my old stomping grounds, attended a protest rally at UC Berkeley and was punched in the face. This is all over Facebook and YouTube and pretty much all social media. So a little bit of background of what was going on there. Before I get into what happened, really, let me just say, and I know you should never, like, I'm not siding with this guy. I'm not. I'm just saying, I think there's more to this story than what the media is actually giving us, and I'm going after somebody I probably shouldn't, but fuck it, facts are facts. Before Luis traveled from Southern California to UC Berkeley, she put that she was going to this rally and quoted the movie Inglourious Basterds and said she wants 100 Nazi scalps. Okay, words are just words, whatever. But she also showed up with a weighted glove on her right hand. And if you look through some of the photos, I don't think it's on video, but if you look through the photos, the one that you mainly see is kind of taken from a side view, mainly behind the man that punched her in the face. His name's Nathan D'Amigo. But there is a photo from her perspective, and you can see that she chin checked him. She punched him right basically in the throat, coming up on his jaw. So there seems to be a little more to this story than this, and the main reason I'm telling you guys this is because I don't want you guys reading our listeners watching the news or watching the video or whatever, and then you go get into an argument where somebody says she deserves it, which no woman ever does, and then you can't argue the point because they point out to you that she was violent as well and had violent intentions before she even got there. You need to at least be aware of that. So later on, she claimed in an interview that her and her friends were fleeing once the violence broke out. It doesn't really look like that's what she was doing. Like I said, it looked like her attitude and actions at that rally were premeditated. I will say, though, if you watch the video of that of the rally and the clash, it's nuts. It looks like a different fucking country. People are wearing masks. A bunch of people showed up in helmets, and it just got way out of hand. It turned into a war zone. Some of the protesters were setting off M80s, so it sounds like gunshots in the video, but it's fireworks basically. Shit's getting thrown. People are getting stomped. It's insane to watch these things and go, this isn't overseas somewhere. Anyway, a little bit about Nathan D'Amigo, the guy that did punch the woman in the face. He's a student. He's a social science student at UC Stanislaus in Turlock, California, not too far from you. In November of 2007, he had been home for a month after his second tour of duty and was suffering from severe post-traumatic stress disorder, drug and alcohol abuse, and paranoia. According to the San Diego County Court records, that's where they got this information from. A few days after the anniversary of his friend's combat death, he spent the night drinking, went on a walk with a gun, and he came across a cab driver, put a gun to his head, and robbed him for $43. That was back in 2007, so this guy does have a bit of a history. His presence on UC Stanislaus campus is causing a bit of a stir and a distraction, so they're investigating right now to see what they're going to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, obviously, the PTSD, and, that's definitely unfortunate. But to find solace in the white is right, or, movement, the white, I think he's part of the new white supremacist or something.
Yeah, he's part of a group on that campus.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll monitor. I wasn't aware till recently that he's from this area.
Yeah.
But
it's all fucking stupid. I mean, these guys are the ones that say that they stand for American values. There's actually a video of him. I don't think it was an official interview. I think it was just a Facebook post. That's at least what it looks like. And he's saying the same thing that the Klan says and any neo-Nazi white supremacist group is saying, which is Our ancestors built and created this country, and it's being taken from us. We feel shut out, which is exactly what Donald Trump tapped into. That's the only way he was. If we didn't have a racism problem in this country, Donald Trump wouldn't have. He wouldn't have won the primary. He would have been laughed off the stage. So, yeah, that's what happened there. Any other comments on that?
No, I mean, I guess real quick, kind of echoing what you're saying a little bit, and it's just the power of those protests are peaceful, and when we can go and say, hey, we had 1,000 people anti Donald Trump there, and we peacefully marched, or smoked joints in protest. Well, I mean, I guess in California it's legal now, so it's not the same. But it's just, to me, it's much more powerful when we can say, and I've been part of them. We peacefully protested for X amount of hours, whatever.
Hold on, Big Daddy. You know why I'm calling you that, right?
Hey,
let's not act like I agree with what you're saying, but somebody did get yanked off a very tall speaker at a Bernie rally.
So that was not peacefully the place for protesting is outside.
you bring yourself to the campaign rally, you're getting your ass beat.
Yeah, you're in there.
And they were members of PETA. They don't fucking count. They don't even eat meat.
Yeah.
That's goddamn vegetarian motherfuckers. No, I see what you're saying, but I mean, violence was used on both sides, and UC Berkeley is.
No, I know, but it's just the fact that if and like you said, they're words, but if you go into a protest with that
intent
mentality, right, and that's not to say, I'm not saying backtracking. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have been right there in the
right
middle
in the
of
shit.
Yeah, I was in the Bay Area on the following day, so if I would have came a day earlier, I could have been there. But
Nick would be filling in this week.
It's just the mentality going into it, and it's always like expect the worst.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's actually, that is a quote from Rosalma, the girl that was punched. She said that that was actually one of the things she said was plan for peace, but prepare for violence. And it's obvious both sides. And I would not venture to say that the Nazi group that showed up was not planning on violence. Every fucking one of them. That to me just doesn't make any sense. But the other side, not every one of them, but these people did show up. They did have bandanas over their face. They were wearing, beanies really low. They were covering themselves. This girl was wearing a weighted glove. Made the post about the Nazi scalps. I mean, people were going there on both sides of the wrong intentions. Let's, we're not trying to act like the liberals were innocent here. But we only got a little bit more time. So, Alex, you want to go over?
Let's get to the big
the bigger daddy
topics.
Yeah.
So the mother of all bombs, which is the largest non-nuclear weapon in the United States arsenal, was recently dropped in Afghanistan. If I'm correct, I think it had a death toll of 36.
Yeah, it was low.
And so, yeah, it's not clear whether or not Donald Trump signed off on this when they asked him.
Yeah, there's conflicting stories there. There's conflicting stories. Trump said he ordered it because he was asked if he was asked permission by a reporter about it. Trump said, of course. Then it came out that the generals acted on themselves, and Donald Trump, the only thing he can fucking remember, he thought the bomb went off in Iraq. The only thing he can remember is he was having some really good chocolate cake at the time.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to listen to that, and yeah, so I had to listen to that. That's what he remembered. Uh, there's some different disputes about the cost. There were some people on Facebook sharing memes that say that it cost 314 million or 16 million, but the Air Force came
That's a
out and
big gap.
said that it cost actually $170,000 a bomb. So I mean, still obviously it's a lot of money. Um,
Here's the thing. I don't know where you stand with this, but for me, the target of this bomb was tunnel systems in Afghanistan to break transportation for the Islamic State. Does this sound like a bad war tactic? No. Was it a bad idea to drop this bomb? Was it? And even if they dropped this specific bomb to just have a show of force, was that a bad idea? I don't know. I don't know if this was a bad idea. All I know is I was kind of happy to hear that a general made this fucking call and not Trump, because even though I don't know that fucking general, almost anybody sounds better than Trump. So I don't know if this was a bad idea or not. Same thing that happened last week. I probably said this exact same thing. I don't know if firing the 60 Tomahawk missiles at the Syrian airfield was necessarily a good idea. I don't fucking know. I just know I don't want that fuck making the decisions. That's where I'm at with it. I really, other than that, I can't really have an opinion. It's beyond my intelligence level and pay grade in that area.
Yeah, we don't get paid, so definitely above our pay grade. But no, that's a fair point, and I think obviously it takes some military analysts to actually speak on it and give their input. But the time, I mean, going after the tunnel system, like you said, it makes sense. It's something that we've done for a while. We've had the bunker busters previous to this, and it's just unfortunately, this got put into discussion because it was big news, and typically so far in Donald Trump's presidency, all the big newses have come from either some kind of bomb or missile or something like that. So
his fucking bath toys. Yeah, and real quick, fuck you, Geraldo Rivera. That stupid ass was on Fox and Friends and said one of the best things that he's loved over the last 14 years of being on Fox News is watching bombs get dropped on bad guys. Most of the time, as I'm about to get into here in a minute, innocent civilians get fucking bombed, you stupid chauvinist piece of shit. Fucking hate Geraldo. Anyway, do we have anything more on that? I mean, like I said, I really don't have a different opinion. We'll see what the fallout is, but I mean, to me,
Yeah.
if Obama did that, I wouldn't be complaining. So I don't want to be hypocritical about that.
Yeah, I just my last comment would be fuck you, Geraldo.
That fucking asshole. Anyway, so I was gonna do a giant dick of history this week, and the reason I didn't is because we haven't. I at least have not plugged HBO in a really long time, and now I have a reason to. If you have access to HBO, if you have the stomach, watch their new documentary, Cries from Syria. It is the most difficult documentary I've ever watched. Not to compare the two like Spicer stupid ass did, but out of all the documentaries I've watched on the documentary that Michael Ware did about the war in Iraq, Holocaust videos, this was so fucking just gory and disturbing. And I learned quite a bit about Syria. Alex, you correctly have pointed out a few times that obviously Syria is a very complicated area right now. It's a very complicated issue between Assad and the U.S., other allies, and Russia and ISIS and rebels. There's so many fucking moving parts. And hopefully I can shed a little bit of light on that. So a few things that I picked up last night. There was a, if you remember back in 2010, 2011, I believe the order went Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt. The three of those places almost not quite in sync with each other, but like dominoes. There was a domino effect of government overthrow. And this was, Facebook was making the news because people were using social media to organize, that sort of thing. So
the Arab Spring.
Right. Yeah, the Arab Spring. So those three countries saw a revolution. And unfortunately opened the door for ISIS a little bit. But aside from that, when those three things happened, the younger generation and the people in Syria were all wondering, when is this going to happen here? How can we make this happen? They were getting interested in it. But that's not what pushed them over the edge. And this I did not really hear about. This all started because of torturing children. So one example is two students wrote something blasphemous, not against God, but against Bashar al-Assad on their school, and they were locked up for it, and they were tortured. So the child torture started to be released, and people started to hear about it, and then on top of that, they would send children back unrecognizable. There's pictures of this and video footage within this documentary. One of these kids, one of these kids had the bottom part of his mouth cut off. You could see his teeth with his mouth. It was fucking disturbing. So they started sending these children back in boxes to their family. That's when everything went nuts. But I mean, the stories go on. It was, there's interviews with people in there that were locked up that survived and escaped. There's numerous stories about rape of both men and women. Not the goriest thing in that documentary, but perhaps the worst thing that I saw was that they poured gasoline over this guy's face, lit his head on fire, and stomped the fire out. About 4 guards. So if you don't have a strong stomach, don't watch it. But if you can handle it, try. It's worth, to me, I feel it's worth it to see that violence, because that, in a way, helps me at least understand what the fuck is actually happening over there. So they sent the dead children back to their families, and after that happened, they didn't get violent. The people didn't get violent. They just started protesting, and they were protesting with flowers and shit. They were trying to be as peaceful as possible. They were using music. They brought their children with them. It wasn't intended to be anything violent. But, throughout the turmoil and everything that happened with the Civil War, throughout this whole documentary, some of these kids that they're interviewing, and they're telling you what they've seen, the torture, the beheadings, all of that shit. Some of these kids are fucking 10 years old. I think there's an 8-year-old girl in there who saw all this shit. But it wasn't, the protesters turned to attacks after the army blocked off major cities and cut off their food supply and medical supplies and all that. And then began, after they've ran out of all of it, they began selling them these supplies at an extremely high markup. Once that happened, the Civil War started. So
and the government still shot first.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And that's one of the things that they constantly go on about is all the civilian houses, the hospitals, which was huge. When Russia showed up, their bombings became way more intense. It wasn't barrel bombs anymore. It was bombing with precision and with incendiary bombs, chemical weapons, all of that. And the Russians obviously are way more developed and able to do a lot more damage than Assad's regime. So, the children were starving. I mean, I mentioned Holocaust videos earlier. One of the images from that type of thing that it's always burned in my head is when they're throwing the bodies into the mass graves and they look like skeletons. These children and people in this documentary, they look the exact same way because of the blockades. They couldn't get any food inside. So for instance, when Russia showed up, the first chemical attack, before Russia showed up, the first chemical attack that Assad used with all of this was dropped on a major city and killed 67% women and children. In that 67% of who was killed was women and children, and it's foaming at the mouth, it's seizures, it's fucking nasty. And that's when the world started to take notice. And my problem is so much devastation had taken place prior to this. Who the fuck cares that it's chemical weapons at that point? Yes, chemical weapons are fucking severe. They're disgusting. It's a horrible way to die. It's inhumane. But isn't dropping fucking bombs and shooting people inhumane as well? Shooting unarmed civilians?
I mean, it definitely is. The difference, though, is that the world got together and signed pacts to say
right
that that if we start going down this road, it's fucked up. Basically, they said all this other shit's fucked up, but this is really and I mean, basically what the sarin gas does is I think it liquefies your lungs or takes the oxygen.
You pretty much hack your insides. Is what it is.
So and it's just, I mean, it's not to say that the other stuff is not bad, and that is the problem. Is the international community waited way too long? Which, I mean,
the threshold should have. My overall point is the threshold should have been broken before that. They should have reached the point of no return before it got to that point. But I mean, the barrel bombs and stuff that we've talked about, all that footage is in that shit, and it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, no, and just the reason that. I mean, one of the reasons that it's so complicated, for instance, with the United Nations, is Russia has the veto. So anything that we try to put against them, Russia constantly vetoes.
Right.
So nothing gets done. And as far as United Nations, and it's because of that, and because of you don't want to be the rogue police state going in as the United States going in, and and look what happened in Libya as well, right? It's not like Libya turned out well. So it's just, I mean,
again, it's just complicated. I could not believe the destruction. But just a few more things here. The chemical weapons were first used after Assad gave a press conference and referred to these civilians not only as terrorists but as bacteria and pests, and then used basically chemical weapons on them. But there was a good turning point where basically the rebels began to take over areas, such as they were winning in Aleppo, and guess who came running to their aid? It was Putin at that point. So while Assad's military is collapsing, because a big part of that too is a lot of his military, once the news broke not only about the children but about bombing civilians and the chemical weapons, a lot of his military factions began breaking from him. So guess what he does? He enlists help from militias around the area. Guess who those militias were from? ISIS. So basically, he enlists these people, and he released radical Islamic terrorists, of which most of them are now in leadership positions with ISIS. He released them from prison to go fight the rebels. Russia shows what?
So exactly. So that's just why it's so complex. It's because you have so many different groups.
There's a lot of cogs in this wheel,
and they're fighting each other. Assad, each one has a different agenda, and it's just, I mean, it's fuck. Go ahead, sir.
No, not a problem. Almost done here. And like I said earlier, when Russia showed up, the death toll increased dramatically, and that began in the city of Aleppo in 2015. One shout out to these guys though. The white helmets. These guys are just ordinary citizens who are living in this destruction, and they decided to start putting on white helmets, and they are the first ones to respond to bombings. And you see some of their work in this documentary as well, where they basically show up and just do whatever the fuck they can. But I mean, when they also follow the trek they make to Europe through France and Austria, and how they're treated when they got there, and when they asked them, a lot of these people just wanted to go home. They want nothing more than their country to be whole again and to go home. And my thing is I remember, I think Nick was on the episode. This was a while back when all the governors started coming out and saying that they weren't going to accept any Syrian refugees. You can call this one-sided to the left all you want, but footage is footage. Go watch that. And you know, I said this to some people that I know that were saying things like that. All right, you tell them. You go look at some kid, some mom, some, you know, even a guy, since they're always afraid of men for some reason. You go tell a family you don't want them here. It's the same thing when people argue for the death penalty. You flip the switch. I don't think they can do it. I'd call their bluff.
Yeah, no, thanks for you know, bringing some more information on it, and it's extremely sad. You know, all we can do is accept the refugees that are allowed, and make them feel at home. I know locally we've had some protests because Modesto does bring in actually quite a bit of refugees, and there's been some protests and some peaceful counter protests for that. So look into it. I'm sure it's probably in, you know, your local area too, and you know, send a couple dollars, whatever you can. It really is a fucked up situation, and it appears no end in sight.
Yeah. You know what? As atheists, that's the humane thing to do, and as Christians, that's what Jesus would do. So why don't you follow your own fucking teachings? Yeah. It's again, it's called Cries from Syria. It's on HBO under documentaries, and yeah, like I said, it was the worst documentary. But I mean, this is one thing I will say. We gave Sean Spicer a bunch of shit, and he deserves every fucking bit of it for every goddamn reason, including saying that fucking Hitler, just historically inaccurate, never used fucking gas. He's a fucking moron, and I'm waiting to see his resignation because I don't even think Trump thinks he's doing well. But his if anybody criticized him for his comparison to Hitler, I don't think that should be argued as hard.
No, I don't think that's. I think it was just more of his complete lack of, ignorance when he said.
No, yeah, of course.
He's never used it. But I mean, anybody that's even just saw the video of the last sarin gas attack, and that one was, you know, made popular. You know, it went viral, I guess, whatever. I think that's enough for people to realize. I mean, this is about as inhumane, basically, as people can live.
I think the main difference between him and Hitler and the Nazis is he's way less organized. But other than that, I mean, it's just the atrocities there are fucking nuts. But anyway, that concludes our episode this week. We will be back next week, and I'll get a giant dick by then. I think I should attack liberals. I attacked conservatives and Republicans last week. I think I should go after liberals. I don't know. We'll see.
That's fair.
Send your suggestions to us. You can hit us up on the Facebook page at the Age of Reason Podcast, or on Twitter at AOR_podcast. And for everything else, you can send your suggestions, comments, whatever, onto the message board at AORpodcast.com. This has been Mike and Alex, where we are not for the faint of thought. We will see you guys next time.